The air hangs heavy, a stillness that screams louder than any noise could. It is the summer of '82, but the sun offers no warmth, only a blinding glare off asphalt that feels cold beneath bare feet. A child is gone. Not lost, not hiding. Gone. The silence in the yard, where laughter used to spill, feels like a physical blow, a chilling void where boundless energy once danced. She was pure light, all bright ribbons and scraped knees. And now, just this unbearable quiet. Before the search parties, before the frantic calls, there is only this raw, uncomprehending emptiness pressing in. If you've ever felt the world stop turning when someone you loved vanished, hit like and let us know in the comments what you would do. Sunlight spills like liquid gold across the overgrown lawn, catching the sparkle of a lone dandelion head. My sister Annie is blowing into the breeze. It's the perfect summer of 1982, all cicada hum and the sweet tang of cut grass. We are inseparable, two peas in a pod, navigating bicycle paths and secret forts in the woods behind the house. Annie, my younger sister, is a force of nature, all bright eyes, a cascade of fiery red hair, and an infectious giggle that seems to chase shadows away. She's bounding ahead, a blur of motion in her favorite striped t-shirt, talking a mile a minute about the cloud shapes above. I'm trailing just slightly, kicking loose pebbles, content just being in her orbit. We are heading towards Miller's Creek, a familiar trek for afternoon adventures. She's picking wildflowers by the path, her small fingers deft, her concentration absolute. I stop to tie a loose shoelace, calling out, "Hey, wait up!" She turns, a radiant smile splitting her face, holding up a small bouquet of purple and white blooms. "Almost there, Davy. Race you to the big oak." Before I can even nod, she's off, a flash of color disappearing around a bend in the path, her laughter echoing back, light and free. I finish the knot, standing up, a slow smile on my face. Always racing, I think, shaking my head fondly. I round the bend, expecting to see her already reaching the ancient oak, but the path is empty. I call her name. "Annie, hey, no hiding." Only the rustling leaves answer. A mild annoyance prickles. She's just trying to scare me. I walk faster, reaching the clearing around the oak. Still nothing. The creek babbles nearby, the sound suddenly louder, less comforting. I start calling her name louder now. A thread of unease beginning to weave itself into the fabric of the perfect afternoon. My chest tightens. This isn't like her. She loves the race, but she always waits at the finish line. A cold knot forms in my stomach as I start running, shouting her name. The idyllic summer sounds replaced by the frantic pounding of my own heart. The air grows heavy again, but this time it's not just heat. It's a growing dread, a terrifying stillness where her light should be. The woods suddenly seem vast, menacing, and silent. The sun still shines, but a shadow, cold and deep, is falling. The small bouquet she dropped lies half-crushed on the path, a silent, heartbreaking testament to her sudden, terrifying absence. He's running now, bare feet slapping the cold porch, shouting her name into the darkening twilight. The sound of his voice rips through the quiet evening, raw and panicked. Inside, the house feels vast and silent, every tick of the clock an accusation. His mother is on the phone, her voice a high-pitched wail dissolving into sobs. His father is already driving the neighborhood streets, headlights slicing through the gloom. They're fanning out, a frantic human net casting wide, hoping to scoop her back from wherever she's wandered. Hours melt into a blur of desperate searching. Neighbors emerge, their faces etched with concern, joining the hunt. Flashlights beam into bushes and alleys. The air thickens with unspoken fear. Then the flashing blue and red lights arrive, slicing through the night. Local authorities, their expressions trained but weary, begin taking statements, their questions feeling invasive and useless against the gaping hole her absence creates. They're documenting the impossible, filling forms about a person who simply isn't there. He stands slightly apart, watching the official choreography of loss unfold. A heavy weight settles in his chest, a crushing mix of helplessness and searing guilt. He sees her face in his mind, hears her last words, casual, innocent. Why didn't he listen harder? Why wasn't he watching? The what-ifs are a physical pain, tightening his throat, making it hard to breathe. This knot of responsibility coils tighter with every passing minute, every unanswered call. As the days bleed into weeks, the initial burst of frantic energy gives way to a chilling, persistent ache. The search expands, helicopters circling, posters going up on every lamppost and storefront. Her face, innocent and smiling, stares out at a community that is slowly, subtly changing. The easy laughter on the streets is muted, replaced by hushed conversations and watchful eyes. Trust erodes, suspicion flickers in the periphery. Every stranger is scrutinized, every familiar face seen anew. His own house, once a place of warmth and chaos, is now a shrine to absence, the empty chair at the table a stark monument to their loss. He walks past her room, the door slightly ajar, a silent accusation. He feels the pressure building, the inability to fix this, to bring her home, gnawing at his soul. The official search efforts are slowing, resources stretched thin, leaving the family adrift in a sea of uncertainty and dwindling hope. He feels them pulling away, the official urgency fading, leaving the family grappling with an unbearable silence that stretches endlessly before them. Decades are grinding by, each year adding another invisible weight to his chest. He is tracing the faded lines on a map spread across the kitchen table, lines that haven't changed in 41 years. But his life, his face in the window's reflection, is a roadmap of grief. His younger brother's disappearance is not a past event. It is the air he is breathing, thick with questions. His relationships are fragile things, tested by an obsession others cannot fathom. Dates come and go. Birthdays, holidays, the anniversary of that crushing day, while the world spins on. Friends celebrating milestones he barely registers. He is always half present, his mind replaying possibilities, chasing ghosts. Hope, a cruel mistress, is visiting sporadically. He is answering late-night calls, his heart leaping into his throat, only for the voice on the other end to confirm another dead end, another misidentified person, another cruel hoax. He is flying across states on thin leads, talking to weary detectives whose files are thicker with dust than information. Each false lead is a physical blow, leaving him breathless, the taste of ash in his mouth. The emotional toll is immense. The trauma isn't healing, it's morphing, settling deep into his bones. He is watching couples walk hand in hand, seeing parents with children, and feeling an isolating ache, a life permanently paused in the search. A dramatic moment unfolds in a sterile police station archive. A detective is pulling a box, labeled with the year his brother vanished. Dust motes are dancing in the shaft of light from a high window as the lid comes off. Inside, amidst brittle paper, is a worn photograph of his brother's smile, unchanged by time. This is the unique, dramatic moment, the confrontation with the static past amidst the flowing present. The emotional climax arrives as he is holding the photo, the weight of 41 years crashing down. All the effort, all the pain, culminating in this single, heartbreaking image. He is breathing in the dry, musty smell of the past, the scent of lost hope. The strong cinematic detail is the dust dancing in the light, illuminating the stillness of the archive against the relentless march of time outside. His fingers are trembling, touching the photo, feeling the texture of paper that holds a lifetime of searching. He is noticing something else in the box. Tucked beneath the files, a small, unexpected item that feels out of place, carrying a faint, unfamiliar scent, a subtle clue hinting at something new, something perhaps missed before. He is standing just outside the familiar radius, the police tape long gone, the air still holding a phantom chill that has nothing to do with the weather. His gaze is drifting, past the worn steps, past the porch swing that hangs motionless, snagging on the small, insignificant corner of the house where Alara's room used to be. It is the sound, or the echo of it, that always pulls him back here, a small, insistent melody playing only in his memory. Those wind chimes, they hang outside her window, simple metal tubes and a wooden clapper, a cheap set she bought at a craft fair years ago because she loved the way the bluebird painted on the sail caught the light. He remembers the specific, slightly off-key note they made when the wind blew from the northeast. It was a jingle, a scatter of mismatched tones, but it had a rhythm, a sequence she insisted was her own secret song. They would sit on the porch, sharing hushed secrets, and if the wind shifted just right, that particular slightly tinny tune would drift down. Ilara would pause, a soft smile touching her lips, and tap his arm. "Listen," she would whisper, as if revealing the most profound mystery. He is hearing it now, the phantom chimes, the distinct pattern of that northeast wind song cutting through the heavy silence of the empty space. It feels so real, so utterly present, that he almost expects to see the bluebird's sail swaying gently. A sharp, visceral pang twists in his chest. How can something so small, so full of quiet joy, now feel like a physical weight, pressing down? It was just a sound, a trivial background noise to countless shared moments. Yet it is the clearest detail that remains, sharper than any face, any conversation. It is the sound of her being present, a sound that has been brutally silenced. He pictures her hand reaching out the window, adjusting the sail just so, coaxing the tune from the metal tubes. The memory is vivid, painful. The sun is catching the corner of the house now, illuminating the empty spot where the chimes hang, or used to hang. He is focusing on that corner, on the dust motes dancing in the sunlight near the glass that reflects only his own haunted eyes. The wind picks up just slightly, a whisper through the nearby trees, but the chimes are silent. The absence of that specific, slightly discordant melody is a shout. He is watching the empty space near the frame, his mind replaying the sound loop. It wasn't just the sound. It was where she was when she heard it, what she might have seen from that window. He is sitting at the small wooden desk, the kind his father used to call practical. Dust motes dancing in the single shaft of afternoon sun slicing through the window pane. 41 years bloom and fade behind his eyes like old photographs in a musty album. His hands, still capable but lined by time, trace the worn edges of a cold case file binder. The paper inside crackles softly as he turns a page, the smell of aged documents, a familiar comfort and torment. He is living with ghosts every day. He watches the slow swing of the pendulum on the grandfather clock in the hall. The tick-tock, a relentless metronome, counting out a life lived in the shadow of absence. The quiet hum of the refrigerator in the kitchen feels too loud in the silence of the house. He sips from a lukewarm cup of coffee, the bitterness echoing a deeper, lingering taste in his soul. His sister's face, forever young in his memory, smiles from a framed photo on the desk, a vibrant splash of light in the room's muted tones. He remembers the way her hair caught the sun, the sound of her laughter echoing down the street. He still sees her sometimes, in the fleeting glimpse of a young woman's profile on the street, in the way a child's ponytail bounces as she runs. A knot tightens in his chest, a familiar ache that never truly dissipates. His finger stops on a circled name in the file, a minor detail from decades ago that somehow feels significant today. He leans closer, squinting slightly, the name pulling him back into the intricate web of the past. There's a quiet determination in the set of his jaw, a strength forged from years of unanswered questions. This isn't obsession. It's a promise kept, a silent vow whispered to the memory of a lost child. The weight of the unresolved mystery presses down on him, a physical burden he carries in his shoulders, in the slight tension around his eyes. He closes the file slowly, the sound a soft thud against the wood. He walks over to the window, looking out at the familiar street, the same street she walked down that last day. The sunlight outside seems brighter, indifferent to the shadows that cling to this house. He is scanning faces, movements, a habit ingrained over 4 decades. He is looking for something, anything, a flicker of recognition, a misplaced piece of a puzzle. The wind rustles the leaves on the old oak tree in the yard, a sound that used to fill the house with laughter. Now, it just carries the echoes of silence. He runs a hand through his thinning hair, a sigh escaping his lips, barely audible. The world outside is moving on, vibrant and loud, but his world remains tethered to that single, pivotal moment 41 years ago. He turns back to the room, his gaze falling upon the photo of his sister, a silent question hanging in the air between them. He is still searching, still hoping, and a small, almost imperceptible movement catches his eye, in the distance, down the street, near the park she loved. He is driving now, the tires humming a low, steady drone on the asphalt. The highway signs change, familiar names starting to appear, like ghosts whispering from the past. His hands grip the steering wheel tighter, knuckles turning white. It has been 20 years, 2 decades since he saw her, since this road led him away from everything he knew. The landscape shifts subtly. The trees look taller, the fields wider than he remembers. Or maybe his perspective has just shrunk. The town limits sign appears, weather-beaten but still standing sentinel. Welcome to Harmony Creek. The name itself feels like a cruel joke now. He is not welcomed, not really. He is an intruder in a place that holds his deepest wound. Turning onto Main Street, the changes hit him like a physical blow. The old diner is gone, replaced by a brightly colored chain coffee shop. The bookstore, where they used to hide among the shelves reading comics, is now a sterile-looking bank. Progress, they call it. To him, it feels like erasure. Yet, beneath the new paint and modern facades, the bones of the town remain the same. The slant of the afternoon sun on the buildings, the slow pace of the few people walking by, it all echoes the day she vanished. A sharp, unexpected memory pierces through the present. The smell of popcorn from a street vendor, her excited giggle as she pulled him towards the stand. He can almost feel her small hand in his. His chest is tightening, making it hard to breathe. He parks the car near the town square, the familiar oak tree still dominating the space, its branches thicker, reaching further. He remembers carving their initials into its bark, a secret pact sealed with a rusty penknife. Is it still there? He doesn't dare look too closely yet. He steps out of the car, the air here heavy with the scent of pine and distant rain, just as it was that afternoon. Every breath is a painful reminder. His feet are moving on their own, drawn towards the edge of town, towards the walking trails that lead into the woods. This is it. This is the path that swallowed her whole. He walks deliberately now, each step bringing him closer to the trailhead. The houses thin out, the suburban neatness giving way to untamed nature. The familiar woods loom ahead, dark and dense, silent except for the rustle of leaves and the distant call of a bird. The fear he felt as a child is rising again, cold and sharp. He is not a child anymore, but the woods remember. They remember her, and they remember him, the brother who came back alone. He stops at the entrance to the trail, his heart pounding against his ribs. The path looks narrower than he remembers, the trees crowding in closer. He sees the twisted root near the entrance, the one he tripped over that day. His gaze fixes on the dark opening into the woods, a silent threshold guarding its secrets. Something is waiting just beyond the first bend. He's walking, his feet crunching on loose gravel that wasn't here before, his eyes scanning the changing landscape. The air smells like damp earth and a faint, acrid hint of something industrial from blocks away. He's following a feeling, a ghost of a memory. The logic tells him structures crumble, neighborhoods transform, and nothing truly stays the same. He's searching, but without a clear map, just a deeply ingrained sense of direction pulling him towards a specific corner of this unfamiliar territory. Sunlight is slanting low now, casting long, distorted shadows of buildings he doesn't recognize. He turns a corner, past a newly constructed brick wall surrounding a development he's never seen, and his steps falter. His gaze locks across a wide, unkempt field where wildflowers push through cracked asphalt. There it is. It stands almost defiant against the backdrop of modern decay and indifferent progress. It's a fence, not just any fence, but that fence. It's made of aged, grayed wood, the planks unevenly weathered, some cracked, others missing slithers. Patches of faded, peeling paint cling stubbornly to the surface, a pale, almost white shade that time and weather have stripped bare in most places. One post near the far end leans at a precarious angle, as if contemplating surrender, but it holds. It's shorter than the industrial fences nearby, more rustic, a relic. Its location is jarring. It borders the empty field on one side and disappears into a thicket of overgrown bushes on the other. Where a house should be but isn't. A jolt, sharp and physical, shoots through him. His breath catches in his throat, a sudden tight constriction. He stops dead, rooted to the spot on the gravel path. His mind reels, processing the impossible sight. This fence, here. Confusion washes over him, thick and disorienting. How can it be? Everything else is different. The buildings, the ground under his feet, the very air feels different. Yet this structure, this simple barrier of wood, persists. An unidentifiable feeling pools in his chest. A profound ache, mixed with disbelief. A surge of warmth mingling with the cold reality of absence. It's not just wood and paint. It's a tangible link, a silent witness to moments held only in memory, moments intrinsically tied to his sister. His eyes trace the lines of the familiar planks, seeing not just wood, but echoes. His hand instinctively reaches out, not towards the fence itself, but just hanging in the air before him. a silent gesture of connection to something impossibly real and deeply, terribly missed. He feels a pull, an urge to get closer, to touch the weathered wood, to see if it feels like it did all those years ago. The old wire fence stands ragged against the breeze, sections drooping, rusted threads dangling like forgotten tears. He approaches cautiously, boots crunching on loose gravel. The wind, a hesitant breath at first, begins to sigh through the metal mesh. A low vibration starts, a barely audible hum. He pauses, listening intently. There it is. The wind strengthens, and the hum rises in pitch, a high, reedy note, fragile and pure. It's not a random noise, it's a specific frequency, a delicate vibration that only occurs when the wind catches the precisely frayed wire at a particular angle. This is the sound, her sound, the sound they named together years ago, when the fence was just old, not yet a relic of his past. He moves closer, eyes scanning the tangled wires at the source of the sound. She found it first, running her small fingers along the fence, humming along until this one wire vibrated in perfect, tiny harmony with her voice. They christened it the singing wire. And then, on one secret afternoon, she had produced a small, vibrant strip of ribbon, torn from a dress or a favored hair tie, and painstakingly threaded it through the mesh right here, a bright flag on their personal landmark. Now, the ribbon is faded, a pale, almost indistinguishable gray, clinging stubbornly to the rust. He reaches out, fingers tracing the porous texture of the wire, then gently touching the brittle fabric. It feels impossibly small, frail against the years and the weather, yet it holds the weight of 1,000 sunlit afternoons. The wind plays the wire again, the reedy note a faint whisper now, like a name breathed on the air. It doesn't just sound like her name. For them, this sound is her name in this secret place. She left this marker, a tiny anchor for their shared moments, a promise whispered into the wind that this spot, this singing wire, was theirs. The memory floods him, her laughing face pressed against the wire, the sound echoing in her giggles, the solemn act of tying the ribbon, sealing their pact. It was here, listening to the fence sing, that they shared their biggest secrets, their wildest dreams, things they told no one else. This sound, this faded ribbon, is the echo of her trust, the tangible reminder of a bond woven not just with words, but with shared discoveries and whispered hopes. It's a raw, exposed nerve of grief, vibrating in the wind, calling him back to the heart of everything they built by this singing fence, and the secret they buried beneath it. He is walking the perimeter again, his steps dragging slightly in the damp earth near the familiar, rusted wire. The chain-link fence stretches out, an unyielding boundary he has seen countless times. But today, he is seeing it differently. He is running his hand along the cool, rough metal, feeling the individual diamond shapes pressing into his palm. His eyes scan every joint, every twist of wire, searching for nothing in particular, or perhaps everything. The air hangs heavy, thick with the scent of wet leaves and something else, something cold and unsettling. He pauses near a section where the wire mesh is slightly bent, pulled away from a supporting post. It looks like old damage, just another imperfection in the long line of rust and neglect. Yet as his fingers trace the unnatural kink in the metal, a flicker of memory ignites. His sister's voice, a casual remark years ago, floating back to him. She was talking about this very fence, complaining about how difficult it was to climb because of that one spot. How it was rigged differently than the rest, making it impossible to get a handhold. She had described the peculiar way the wire was secured, almost deliberately difficult. At the time, he had dismissed it as teenage annoyance. Now, the detail slams into him. It wasn't just random damage or a shoddy repair. He looks closer, noticing the specific, intricate knot in the wire, the way it's looped and tightened with a tool he now recognizes. One his sister would never have had access to, but someone else would. A specific person. The thought sends a tremor through him, cold and sharp. This isn't just about where she vanished. It's about how and who was involved. This unique, twisted section of fence wasn't a barrier for her. It was a signature, a deliberate action tied to the circumstances of her being taken. He feels the blood drain from his face, the quiet landscape around him transforming into something sinister. The wind whispering through the wire mesh suddenly sounds like a chilling secret being shared. His breath catches in his throat, the weight of this realization crushing down on him. The fence isn't just a marker of the place, it's a piece of the event itself, pointing a silent, accusing finger. A name, unspoken but felt, forms in his mind, chilling him to the bone. He knows, with a terrifying certainty, that this small physical detail is a direct link to the hidden narrative, a clue left behind, waiting for him to find it. His gaze fixates on the strange knot, a cold, hard focal point in the desolate scene, knowing he has to follow this thread, no matter where it leads. He's tracing the memory again, the rough wood scraping against his palm, the splintered edge catching his skin just so. The image of the broken fence post, the one near the old creek bed behind the derelict mill, keeps flickering behind his eyes. It isn't just the physical location, it's the specific detail, the peculiar way the wire was tied back, a method he remembers seeing only one other place, one other time. A name, faint at first, then sharper, floats into his mind, linked inextricably to that style of makeshift repair, to that patch of land, to a difficult past hovering just out of sight. He's hunched over his laptop at the kitchen table, the glow reflecting in his intense gaze. Empty coffee mugs crowd the space around him. The air is thick with the scent of cold caffeine and rising anxiety. His fingers are flying across the keyboard now, searching, cross-referencing old town records, property maps, archived local news snippets. He's looking for him, a man known back then for his quiet, solitary ways, a man who did odd jobs, including maintenance work on properties around town, properties like the abandoned mill. A man who lived rough, sometimes near the creek bed, a presence always on the fringes, easily overlooked. A sudden, sharp breath escapes him as a name pops up on the screen, linked to a temporary address not far from the mill grounds in the months leading up to the disappearance. Markham. The name feels heavy on his tongue, unfamiliar, yet instantly charged with a potential significance that sends a chill down his spine. He remembers whispers, fragments of conversations from years ago, things he dismissed as gossip then, about Markham's temper, his strange hours, his avoidance of people. He's pulling up a faded digital image, a mugshot from a minor infraction years prior, the face grim, eyes shadowed, looking away from the camera. It's a face he barely remembers, but the possibility it represents is slamming into him with unexpected force. His heart is hammering against his ribs, a frantic drumbeat echoing the frantic rhythm of his thoughts. Could this be the shadow the fence pointed to? The one lurking just outside the clear picture? He's scrolling through more records, seeing confirmation of Markham's transient connection to the area around that specific time. The pieces aren't fitting neatly yet. They're jagged fragments suggesting a shape, a potential culprit, but the image is still hazy, terrifyingly uncertain. He feels a knot tightening in his stomach, a sickening mix of hopeful progress and profound dread at the dark path this discovery might lead him down. The silence of the kitchen seems to press in, amplifying the whir of the laptop fan and the pounding in his ears. He's leaning closer to the screen, his reflection a strained, hopeful mask in the glass. The name Markham hangs in the air, a key potentially unlocking a buried truth, but also a door that could swing open to unimaginable pain. He needs to know more, needs to find a concrete link, a definitive thread connecting Markham directly to the time and place his sister vanished. His fingers hover over a new search query, zeroing in on any reported interactions or sightings of Markham in the immediate vicinity of the mill during that critical time frame. The path ahead feels steeper now, darker, but the possibility ignited by that single name is a fragile, desperate light. The air in his small study is thick with the scent of stale coffee and aging paper as he is spreading out the few case files that remain from his sister's disappearance. Dust motes are dancing in the single beam of afternoon sun, slicing through the blinds. His fingers are tracing the printed words, pages he has read 1,000 times, but now a new name, whispered by the fence, is echoing in his mind. Silas, and a place, the old mill near the river. He is pulling up online records, his eyes scanning property deeds, business registrations, anything tied to Silas in that specific area. His heart is a drumbeat in his chest, a frantic rhythm against the quiet hum of the computer. Is this it, he is thinking? A desperate hope warring with the gnawing fear that this is just another dead end, another cruel twist. He is remembering the fence's shifty eyes, the hesitant way he spoke the name, the price he demanded. Worth it. A voice inside him screams. Any price is worth it for the truth. He is scrolling through old news archives, looking for any mention of Silas connected to the mill, looking for anything unusual happening around the time his sister vanished. His movements are precise, fueled by a cold, focused energy, but his hands are trembling slightly. He is pausing on a grainy photograph from a local newspaper, a small article about a minor incident at the mill years ago. He is zooming in, straining to make out faces in the background. Nothing definitive, just shadows and motion blur. The weight of the years is pressing down on him, a physical ache in his shoulders. He is feeling the familiar surge of grief, a raw wound that never truly heals, now mixed with this potent cocktail of suspicion and determination. He is leaning back, closing his eyes for just a moment, visualizing his sister's laughing face, the one he is fighting for. I won't stop, he is promising her silently. Not until I know. He is opening his eyes again, his gaze landing on a forgotten detail in the police report. A witness mentioned seeing a dark-colored van parked suspiciously near the mill entrance, days before his sister went missing. He is cross-referencing this with vehicle registration databases he's found accessible online. He is typing in search queries, combining names and locations and vehicle types. The tension in the room is building, palpable, tightening its grip around him. He is finding a match, a dark van, registered years ago to a shell company, with a registered agent whose name shares a striking resemblance to the one the fence gave him, Silas Vance. The connection is tenuous, circumstantial, but it is the first concrete link he has found in years. His breath is catching in his throat, a silent gasp. This name, this van, this location, it is pulling him forward, away from the safety of his study and towards the unsettling reality of the old mill itself. He knows what he has to do next. He is leaning close to the screen, the blue light washing over his face in the dim room. Days bleed into nights here, marked only by the deepening shadows under his eyes, and the growing stack of notes beside the keyboard. He is watching, rewinding, zooming in on grainy security camera footage pulled from a forgotten corner store near the district Silas is known to frequent. The air hangs heavy with the faint, stale smell of coffee and his own relentless focus. His fingers are drumming a silent, anxious rhythm on the desk as the timestamp ticks forward frame by painstaking frame. There it is, a vehicle. Low resolution, but the distinctive shape, the color, it matches the car Marcus is driving. A cold knot tightens in his gut. He pauses the video, the pixelated image, freezing the car, turning down a narrow alleyway, barely a block from one of Silas's suspected drop points. He checks the time displayed. Late afternoon, 2 days after Ilara vanished. Why is Marcus here at this specific time? A map is spread out beside the screen, marked with pins and scribbled addresses. He is cross-referencing locations, known movements, reported sightings. The connections feel flimsy, like threads waiting to snap, but he keeps pulling relentlessly. He remembers a detail from weeks ago, an offhand comment about Marcus needing to sell something quick and quiet. At the time, it meant nothing. Now, layered with this footage, it starts to solidify, forming a chilling hypothesis. He feels a tremor in his hands as he annotates the map, drawing a line from Marcus's known route that day to Silas's area, intersecting precisely where the camera captures the car. It's not proof, not definitive, but it's a pattern, a convergence in time and space that screams of intent. He is moving around the room now, pacing, the floorboards creaking softly under his weight. Frustration is a hot, bitter taste in his mouth. These are fragments, whispers of a connection, not the solid evidence he desperately needs. He stops by a corkboard covered in photographs and printouts, his gaze lingering on Ilara's smiling face. A wave of sorrow washes over him, quickly hardening into resolve. He is noticing a small detail on one of the printouts, a receipt from a small independent hardware store, hours away, found tucked inside a discarded fast food bag collected near where Marcus was last seen before the footage. The date on the receipt is the day before Ilara disappeared. A strange purchase, specific items that seem out of place for Marcus. He is remembering local talk about Silas needing certain materials for his work. He is circling the items on the receipt, his heart pounding a frantic rhythm. It feels like a key turning in a lock, the pieces slotting together in a terrifying configuration. The path from Marcus to Silas is becoming clearer, built on seemingly insignificant details ignored by others. The next step is connecting these materials to a place, a workshop, somewhere these two might have met or operated, somewhere that could hold the truth about Ilara's fate. His hands are trembling slightly, not from fear, but from the sheer electric charge of 41 years, culminating in this singular instant. He is standing outside the nondescript building, the folded papers clutched tightly. Evidence, proof. It feels heavier than its weight, burdened by decades of unanswered questions and silent pain. The humid summer air clings to his skin, thick and suffocating, mirroring the pressure building in his chest. Each breath he takes is shallow, catching in his throat. Around him, the city hums, distant traffic, the chatter of unseen people, the persistent buzz of a fly near his ear. But it all seems muffled, pushed to the periphery of his awareness. His eyes scan the entrance, a simple glass door reflecting the overcast sky. This is it, the moment he has lived and breathed for since that devastating day. 41 years of searching, of piecing together fragments, of chasing ghosts. The faces of his family flash behind his eyelids, etched with grief and longing. He is doing this for them, for the truth that has been buried for so long. The weight of that responsibility settles onto his shoulders, a familiar burden, but now tinged with the thrilling, terrifying possibility of release. He's picturing the face of the man he believes is responsible, seeing the details he uncovered only recently, details that solidify the terrible suspicion. His stomach tightens into a hard knot. Is he ready for this? Ready to finally speak the truth out loud, to present the findings that could shatter a life, including his own fragile peace? His fingers trace the edges of the documents. The paper feels warm from the heat of his grip. A bead of sweat trickles down his temple. He takes a deep, shuddering breath, the first full breath in what feels like hours. The air tastes metallic. He is adjusting his grip on the papers, straightening his shoulders. The small, defiant act of preparing himself. Every step he has taken over 4 decades has led him here, to this threshold. There is no turning back now. The path ahead is uncertain, fraught with potential outcomes he has replayed 1,000 times in his mind. But it is the only path left. He is pushing open the heavy glass door, the sound echoing sharply in the sudden quiet of the lobby. The air inside is cool and artificially still. He is stepping into the moment of truth. The small, sterile room feels colder now, the air thinning with each word spoken. The investigator, face etched with somber purpose, is laying it out, piece by agonizing piece. He's holding up photos, pointing to diagrams, tracing lines on a map. The brother is watching, his breath catching in his throat, a deep tremor beginning in his hands. He's seeing the connection, the impossible, dreadful link clicking into place before his eyes. The suspect's movements, meticulously tracked, are leading directly to the fence's isolated property. Satellite images show activity, subtle anomalies that suddenly scream meaning. He feels the weight of decades pressing down, the unanswered prayers and whispered hopes collapsing under the brutal clarity. The investigator is explaining how evidence, painstakingly gathered from the fence's overgrown yard and a long-disused outbuilding, ties the suspect definitively to the location during the critical time. He's talking about a discarded item, something small and familiar that belonged to the sister, found buried shallowly near the property line. The brother's vision blurs, focusing only on that one devastating detail. He remembers that item. It was insignificant then, everything now. The sound of the investigator's voice is fading, becoming a distant hum as the truth washes over him. A cold, dark tide. He's understanding, finally, what happened after she was taken. The path led here, to this place of shadows and secrecy, overseen by the fence who asked no questions. He's seeing, not with his eyes, but with a sickening certainty in his gut, the final moments of possibility slipping away all those years ago. The investigator's words are precise, clinical, deliberately avoiding graphic detail, but the implication is a punch to the soul. The evidence confirms she was there, and the lack of any subsequent trace, despite extensive searches across the region, it seals her fate. She never left. A quiet sob is escaping his lips, a sound he barely recognizes as his own. It's a raw, guttural expression of 40 years of suppressed grief erupting. He's gripping the arms of the chair, his knuckles white. The investigator is still speaking, detailing the final conclusions drawn from the forensic evidence, painting a picture of an outcome he had always feared in his darkest moments, but never allowed himself to truly believe. The room is silent, save for the investigator's low voice and the brother's ragged breathing. This is it. The truth. It isn't freedom. It's a cage built of agonizing certainty. He feels utterly broken. Yet, a strange, steely resolve is hardening somewhere deep inside him. Knowing is a different kind of pain, but it's also a foundation. The investigator is folding the papers, looking at him with profound empathy. He's waiting for the brother's response. For what comes next, now that the veil is lifted? The cool breeze nips at his face, carrying the distant wail of a siren that quickly fades. Uniformed figures move with practiced efficiency around a figure whose face is obscured by the angle, but whose identity weighs heavier than stone. Metal clicks sharply, a sound that slices through the tense air. He watches, his breath catching in his throat, as the person responsible, the one who cast a shadow across 41 years, is gently but firmly guided towards a waiting vehicle. It's happening. After decades of gnawing uncertainty, whispered suspicions, and a truth buried deep, justice is finally unfolding before his eyes. A tremor runs through him, not of fear, but of an overwhelming, turbulent release. Relief washes over him in powerful waves, so potent it feels like he might drown in it. The constant low thrum of anxiety he's carried for so long suddenly ceases, leaving an unfamiliar, quiet void. But the void isn't empty. It fills instantly with a complex storm. Sorrow, sharp and unexpected, rises for the lost years, for the innocence stolen, for the life that could have been. Anger, too, flares hot and bright, a residual ember from a fire that burned for decades, furious that it took this long, that the pain endured for so many cycles of the sun and moon. He clenches his fists at his sides, his knuckles white. His gaze locks on to the retreating back of the figure being placed in the car. This is it, the tangible consequence. The legal system is embracing the truth, pulling the perpetrator into its grasp. The car door thuds shut, a final, definitive sound that seems to echo the closing of a painful chapter. He watches the vehicle pull away, becoming smaller and smaller, against the backdrop of the familiar street, now tinged with the surreal glow of this moment. A strange, fragile sensation begins to settle over him. Closure. It's a feeling so alien, so long denied, that he almost doesn't recognize it. It feels less like a triumphant victory and more like the slow, hesitant healing of an ancient, festering wound. The weight is lifting, yes, but the scar remains, and the world, though safer in this specific way, looks profoundly different now that the shadow has been exposed and is receding. He stands there, rooted to the spot, the departing car the last vestige of the nightmare, and realizes that while justice has arrived, the journey through the aftermath is just beginning. The heavy coat of decades is slowly, cautiously peeling away. The brother sits by the quiet lake, the water reflecting the late afternoon sky in shifting shades of gray and lavender. It is the same lake his sister loved, where they skipped stones as children. For so long, coming here felt like wearing lead shoes, every step sinking him deeper into a mire of unanswered questions and corrosive guilt. Now, the ground under him feels solid. He is feeling the rough texture of the worn wooden bench beneath his palms, the faint smell of damp earth and pine needles in the cool air. He is holding a small, smooth stone in his hand, turning it over and over. This isn't about vengeance anymore. The cold, hard outcome of justice sits distantly in his mind, a settled score. The focus is shifting inward, slowly, painfully, towards the shattered pieces of himself and his sister's memory. the decades of living with a ghost, a whisper of truth buried under lies and indifference, have left jagged edges. He is tracing those edges now, not to reopen the wounds, but to understand their shape, to accept them as part of his story. He closes his eyes, a single tear tracing a path down his cheek, but it feels different. Not the hot, searing grief of the past, but a softer, mournful acceptance. He is remembering her laughter, the way her hair caught the sunlight, the simple, beautiful moments that were overshadowed for so long by the horror. The full truth, though devastating in its details, is also liberating. It strips away the uncertainty, allowing her memory to exist in its entirety, not just the tragic ending. He is thinking about the conversations he can now have, the burden lifted from his shoulders, allowing for genuine connection with the few people who remained close. The wary tension in his shoulders is easing, the constant vigilance fading. He is watching a small bird flit between the branches of a nearby tree, a simple sight he would have barely registered before, lost in the fog of his pain. A tentative smile touches his lips. The world hasn't changed, but his way of seeing it is beginning to. The path forward feels uncertain, but for the first time in years, it feels like there is a path, stretching out beyond the long shadow of the past. He is tossing the stone lightly into the water, watching the ripples spread outwards, a small signal that something is shifting, moving. He is standing up, stretching his legs. The air feels crisper here by the water than it has in years. He is looking back at the lake, then turning his gaze towards the road, towards the town he needs to re-engage with, towards the life that is waiting to be lived, carrying the weight of his sister's full truth, but also the unexpected lightness of finally being free to remember her completely. The journey of healing is not finished, not by a long shot, but the first steps on solid ground have been taken, and there are new perspectives waiting just around the corner. Years later, the brother sits by the window, the afternoon sun warming his hands. He is tracing the outline of a faded photograph, the image of his sister smiling back at him. The weight of the journey settles, a physical pressure behind his ribs. He is remembering the simple ease of their shared childhood laughter, the unbreakable thread that bound them, now stretched thin but never broken by absence. The devastating chasm left by her loss still aches. A phantom limb of the heart, reminding him constantly of the cruel interruption, the future stolen. But as he breathes in the scent of dust motes dancing in the sunbeam, a different feeling stirs, not replacing the grief, but existing alongside it. It is the quiet power of hope, an ember he shielded through years of cold silence and closed doors. He is seeing the faces of those who finally listened, the small steps forward that felt monumental in the dark. He is hearing the clicks of doors unlocking, the soft thud of old files being opened. Sounds that once seemed impossible, whispers on the wind. Justice feels less like a thunderclap and more like the slow, inexorable turning of a great ancient wheel. It grinds forward, indifferent to time, propelled by a persistent, quiet force. His own reflection looks back at him from the glass, older, marked by the fight but not consumed by bitterness. He is recognizing the resilience forged in the crucible of pain, the strength drawn from a love that refuses to diminish. He is understanding now that her story isn't just one of tragedy, but of his own perseverance, a testament to the fact that love builds its own enduring legacy, one breath, one step, one memory at a time. He is feeling a strange sense of peace coexisting with the sorrow. The knowledge that even across the divide of life and death, their bond remains vibrant, a guiding light. Truth, he is learning is not always loud or swift, but it possesses an undeniable momentum, flowing like an underground river, eventually finding its way to the surface, no matter how long the journey takes. He shifts in the chair, the photograph warm in his palm, a quiet acceptance settling over him, leaving him poised on the edge of what comes next. The house is quiet now, the echoes of the long struggle fading into the ordinary hum of the afternoon. He is feeling the exhaustion deep in his bones, a weariness that no amount of sleep seems to shift. The air feels still, holding the lingering scent of old paper and quiet reflection. There is no grand celebration, no fanfare, just the quiet aftermath of a life reshaped by love and loss, and the relentless pursuit of what is right. He is standing by the window, the sun setting painting streaks of orange and purple across the sky, but the light inside him feels dim, a low, flickering flame. The weight of the years, the emotional toll, presses down, a dull ache behind his eyes. It is not despair, not exactly, but a pervasive sense of low-grade sorrow, a quiet heaviness that feels like it might never fully lift. Emotions drift through him. Relief, yes, a thin thread of it, but also persistent sadness, a quiet anger that the journey was ever necessary, a profound weariness. He is watching as the first stars begin to appear, tiny pinpricks in the vast, darkening canvas. The world outside continues, indifferent and beautiful. He takes a slow, deliberate breath, the air cool in his lungs. He turns from the window, his movements slow and deliberate, and walks towards the hallway, where a single door stands slightly ajar, a soft light spilling from within.